Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Irfan bin Iskandar and my metric number is 2022859198. So our group today we discuss about the theory of realism. What is realism? Realism in the context of international relation. Realism is a theoretical framework that sees world politics as an ongoing struggle for dominance between self-interested states in an anarchic global order without a centralized authority. Or we can define realism in philosophy, which is things known or perceived have an existence or nature independent of whether anyone is thinking about or perceiving them. It encompasses various areas including ontology, metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, and the theory of truth. According to realism also, there is no centralized power over state, and the world is defined by an anarchic international system. States are forced to rely on their own resources in order to secure their existence because of the absence of a centralized authority. Because of this, state focus their national interests, which are frequently represented in terms of power as a result. Now we moving on to the analysis on realism or the characteristic of realism. First thing first, we must know that the founder of realism is E.H. Carr. E.H. Carr is a British political scientist and historian that played a vital role in establishing realism as a self-conscious movement in study of international relations. His critique of idealism and focus on power and self-interest influenced subsequent realist thought. However, we must remember that realism has a rich history, which a thinker like Tucídides, Machiavelli, and Max Weber that contributing to its development. However, in the perspective of view that we can identify, that we can identify there is four aspects on realism. The first one is objectivity. If we take a look on the objectivity of realism, realism basically emphasizes an objective view of the physical world. It distinguishes between objective fact, such as external environment, and subjective feeling or desire. And the second one is independence. Realism believes that reality exists independently of our thought or belief about it. And the third one is common sense, which is the many realists believe that common sense, as most of our everyday belief concern me independent object. And the last one is variety. Variety in this aspect means realism cover different view from the existence of the external world to scientific theory, math, and morality. That's why in the realism there is a type of realism which is classical realism, liberal realism, neo realism, and neoclassical realism. And next, we move to the next presenter.
Realism, a dominant theory in international relations, paints a world shaped by power, struggles, and national self-interest. Here's a breakdown of its key characters regarding power, politics, security, and the state. So moving on to the next. Hi, my name is Muhammad Alif Izwan bin Muhammad Azlan, and I will share to you about the characteristic of realism. The first one is power politics. In central focus, realism views the international system as anarchic, lacking a central authority to enforce the rules. This fosters an environment of competition and conflict where states prioritize power. Secondly, the power as currency. Power is the ultimate currency in international relations. It's measured by a state's military, economic, and diplomatic capabilities. States constantly strive to increase their power relative to others. And the last one is zero-sum game. Security gains for one state are often seen as security losses for others, creating a zero-sum dynamics. Alliance and rivalries form based on perceived threats and opportunities. So moving on to the next slide, which is security. In terms of top priority, the primary goals of state within the realized framework is to ensure their own survival and security. This can involve building strong militaries, forging alliances, and deterring potential aggressors. Second one is self-reliance. Realists believe states cannot rely on international institutions or altruism from other states for security. They must be self-reliant and prepared to defend themselves. Moving on to the balance of power. They will maintaining a balance of power between major states. It seems as crucial for preventing war. Shift in power can lead to instability and conflict. And the last one characteristic of realism is the state. In terms of main actor is states are primary actors in international relations. They act rationally in pursuit of their national interests, defined primarily in terms of security and survival. Next, limited morality. Ethics and morality plays a secondary role in foreign policy decision compared to national concerns. Real politics or politics relative often take precedence. And the last one is national interest. State pursue the policies that maximize their national interest even if it comes at the expense of others. This can lead to conflict and exploitation. Realism, while criticized for its pessimism and focus on conflicts, offer a valuable lens for understanding the competitive natures of international politics. It highlights the importance of power, security, and the states as a driving force in global affairs.
Hello, my name is Farah Hazika binti Balkis and my metric number is 2023-189707, and I will continue with my part, which is the types of realism. The first type of realism is classical realism. Classical realism is a theoretical framework in international relations that emphasizes the persistent nature of conflict and competition among states. It is rooted in the works of thinkers like Thucydides, Machiavelli, and Hobbes, who believe that humans are inherently self-interested and power-hungry. In an anarchic international system, power is the principal currency and the governments strive to collect it in order to secure their existence and discourage possible aggressors. We can take the example from Cold War 1947 until 1991 that involving the US and Soviet Union engaged in a power struggle for global dominance, utilizing military alliance like NATO and the Warsaw Pact, emphasizing the significance of military capability and strategic alliance. Moving forward to the next types of realism, which is liberal realism. Sometimes it is known as the English School of Rationalisms or theoretical approach to international affairs that blends power-centric realism with a cooperative, institution-focused viewpoint. Key thinkers of this realism contributed significantly to the understanding of international society, historical context, and regional security complex, shaping the development of international politics. Moreover, the proposal suggests that nations establish an international society with shared laws, norms, and institutions, emphasizing the importance of international institutions in preventing anarchy. The example for liberal realism is the United Nations and the European Union both embody liberal realism principles, promoting dialogue and cooperation between great powers and smaller states. The UN's Security Council and General Assembly reflect power balance, while the EU, or as known as European Union, balances cooperation and national sovereignty, promoting a balanced approach. Lastly, neorealism. It is a theory of international relations that emphasizes the influence of the anarchic structure of the international system on state behavior. It is based on the idea that states rely on their own resources to ensure their survival and security. It is also emphasizes the distribution of power among states, categorized as great powers, middle powers, or small powers based on their relative capabilities. There are two categories of neorealism. The first one is defensive realism, which is states retain their security by maintaining the status quo, and the second one is offensive realism, in which states are naturally power hungry and want to control the global system. The example that we can take is during the Cold War, neorealism was evident due to the bipolar structure and nuclear arms race between the US and USSR, emphasizing power accumulation and security.
My name is Tengku Ahmad Basili bin Tengku Azan Arif, and now I will continue the presentation about positive impact in realism theory. I will talk about three things in three countries, which is improvement in Rwanda, economic growth in China, and renewable energy in Germany. My first point is improved health outcome in Rwanda. Number one, reduction in child mortality. Rwanda has made remarkable strides in reducing child mortality rate through successful immunization program and improved maternal health services. For example, comprehensive vaccination campaigns has significantly decreased the incidence of preventable disease, and enhanced prenatal and postnatal care has greatly reduced child mortality. This effort has brought the child mortality rate down from 152 per 1,000 live birth in 2000 to 50 per 1,000 live birth in 2020. Number two, increased life expectancy. The increase in Rwanda's life expectancy is largely due to the critical role of community health workers and better access to healthcare services. Community health worker has been pivotal in delivering essential health services to remote the undeserved areas, providing treatment, health education and support. As a result, the life expectancy in Rwanda has risen from 48 years in 2000 to 69 years in 2020. Number 3, HIV and AIDS treatment. Rwanda has achieved a high rate of antiretroviral treatment coverage, significantly impacting the management and control of HIV and AIDS. With over 90% of those living with HIV receiving treatment, the country has seen a reduction in AIDS-related death and decline in new HIV infection. This widespread availability of antiretroviral drugs has improved health outcome and quality of life for many Rwandans. My second point is economic growth and poverty reduction in China. Number one, poverty alleviation. China's economic reform and openness to international trade has created vast opportunities, lifting over 800 million people out of poverty. These reforms, initiated in the late 70s, spurred rapid economic growth, increased employment, and significantly reduced poverty rates. By 2020, China had virtually eliminated extreme poverty. Number two, urbanization and infrastructure development. Major infrastructure projects such as the construction of highways, high-speed rail networks, and urban development initiatives have drastically improved connectivity and sparked economic activity across China. These projects have facilitated the efficient movement of goods and people, contributing to urbanization and boosting regional economies. Number 3, increased standard of living. The rise in income across China has led to substantial improvement in housing, education, and healthcare. For instance, millions of Chinese citizens now have access to better living conditions, improved education opportunities, and enhanced healthcare services, reflecting the country's overall economic prosperity. The average per capita income has increased significantly, contributing to a higher standard of living. My third point is renewable energy adoption in Germany. Number 1, renewable energy generation. Germany's Energy One Day policy, aimed at transitioning to renewable energy, has resulted in a significant portion of the country's electricity now coming from renewable sources like wind, solar, and biomass. By 2020, Over 46% of Germany's electricity was generated from renewable sources, demonstrating the country's commitment to reducing its reliance on fossil fuel and lowering greenhouse gas emissions. Number 2, job creation. The renewable energy sector in Germany has been a major driver of economic growth and job creation. The expansion of renewable energy industry has created tens of thousands of jobs, providing employment opportunities in areas such as manufacturing, installation, maintenance, and research and development. Number 3, environmental benefits. Germany's shift to renewable energy has led to a notable reduction in carbon emission and improved air quality. These environmental benefits contribute to better public health, as lower emission mean fewer respiratory problems and other health issues related to air pollution. Additionally, Germany's commitment to sustainable energy practices set an example for other nations aiming to combat climate change. So that's all from me. Move to the next presenter.
Continue to my part, which is about negative impact of realism theory. Before that, my name is Muhammad Atif Afifi bin Muhammad Atif. So let's continue. Realism theory is not only bring a positive impact but also will bring a negative impact towards country. The example country that receive a negative impact such as the North Korea, because North Korea is focused of the military power, the nuclear weapons and the ballistic missiles programs. The negative impacts such as the economic stagnation, human rights abuse, economic isolations and the failed to negotiations. So let's continue to the first negative impact, which is the economic stagnations. Economic stagnation means that economy is being inactive. North Korea realized driven pursuit of military capabilities has come at the expense of economic development and prosperity for its citizens. The country is self-imposed isolations combined with the international sanctions that make the country not active with the other countries in terms of relations, business and other else. This will prevent its economic to grow and only depend on aid from the China and other allies. The second negative impact is humanitarian crisis and human rights abuse. North Korea realized approach to governance which prioritize survival and control has resulted in severe human rights abuse and humanitarian crisis within the country. The country only focus on their military without taking care of well-being of its citizens in terms of their prosperity, benefit and other else. The government prioritizations of military spending over social welfare has led to widespread poverty, malnutrition and political repressions. And the last point, which the third point, is diplomatic isolations and failed to negotiations. North Korea's pursuit of nuclear weapons have led to widespread international isolations. Certain countries in the West and others have imposed sanctions and diplomatic pressure on North Korea to curb its nuclear ambitions. This isolation limits North Korea's ability to engage in meaningful diplomatic relations and cooperation with other states, which could potentially lead to missed opportunities and peaceful resolutions of conflicts and access to economic benefits. Despite occasional attempts at diplomacy and engagement with the international community, North Korea regimes known for its authoritarian and unpredictable nature may exploit negotiations for short-term gains or to buy time for further military investment, making successful diplomatic relations even more challenging and harder. The other country that received a negative impact of realism theory except the North Korea is Russia, because it pursued a less foreign policy characterized by a focused national security, territorial integrity and great power status that will impact on human rights concern, conflict between the country and isolation diplomatic and economic isolation.
In a nutshell, International relation realism comes to the conclusion that states are self-serving actors functioning in anarchist system where power is the main medium of exchange. This leads to constant competition, the security dilemma, and the need to perceive a balance of power to prevent any state from becoming dominant. The theoretical and historical root of realism still influence how we see world politics today. That's all from our group. Thank you.